Welcome to the Kissing Spine podcast. How nice of you to join. In this podcast, I discuss several topics around kissing spine, like what kissing spine is, the different medical treatments, the function of different body parts, functional and dysfunctional training techniques, saddle fit, and a whole lot more. All put together to help you support your horse with the kissing spine. I wish you a lot of fun listening, and if you like this podcast, make sure to become a subscriber so you won't miss any of my episodes. Hi, and welcome to this first episode of the Kissing Spine podcast. In this episode, I would like to take some time to introduce myself and how I started to become so passionate about kissing spine. I will answer questions like how did I come across kissing spine, what are the most important things that I learned along the way during rehabbing a horse with a kissing spine, why did I create my course Rehab to Ride, and now why I'm now doing this podcast. So let's start with why I started this podcast. And that is because I noticed during my years working with people who have a horse with a kissing spine that it can be a very lonely journey. Especially if you have your horse boarded at a yard where there's other trainers around who are not that familiar with kissing spine. It can be tricky to share what you're doing to rehabilitate them because the training that you do for rehab can be significantly different than what, let's just say, quote unquote, common people would do in their normal training. So this podcast is meant for people who want to know more about kissing spine, who want to know more about the different medical treatments, who want to know more about rehab training, or just want to feel not so alone in this journey. So if you have a horse that just got diagnosed with a kissing spine, or maybe you've been rehabbing already for a longer time, it doesn't matter. You are not alone, and hopefully you can find some comfort in this podcast. So how did I come across kissing spine? In another episode, I will elaborate a little bit more about my entire journey with my Arabian Thoroughbred horse Pura, but she really is the horse that made the biggest change for me. When I started working with this horse, I didn't know that she had kissing spine. I realized that almost 4 years in the process. So there was quite a big period between me buying her, me starting to train her, and along the way of training and learning more about the back of the horse and the whole mechanical workings of the body, that I learned what the symptoms of kissing spine actually are, and then everything just clicked for me, like, oh, this is what's going on with my horse. But in that time, I was already I think about 2 or 3 years down the line of rehabilitation training. I just didn't realize that I was rehabbing her. I just thought I was training her, but in fact, I was really rehabbing her, which made it a whole lot clearer for me why her process took so long compared to doing the same training with healthy horses. Because with my kissing spine horse, I also had a quarter horse mare, and she responded really well to the training very quickly, while my Arabian Thoroughbred was really staying behind. Again, in another episode, I will elaborate a bit more about like what my entire journey with Pura was, but for now, for me, everything started with having a horse with a kissing spine, which might be very recognizable to other people who are helping horses with a kissing spine, or maybe for yourself because you got on this journey because you have a horse with a kissing spine. What are the things that I learned along the way that I feel are most important? This is a question that I keep on asking myself since I keep on learning things every day. I have to say that there are a few things that really made a difference for me. One is how the body works. How is the body together? How are all the joints and all the muscles working together to create a supple, relaxed, and soft, healthy horse? That's definitely just a technical, theoretical part of it. I'm a little bit of a nerd, I have to admit, but that journey of learning how that body works has been absolutely phenomenal. Another thing, which was in general a really big life lesson for me, I'm quite an impatient person. So I want to put in effort now and then have results now. Really now. So if I have to wait a longer period of time to get results for the effort that I'm putting in, was not really an easy thing for me to accept. But dealing with a horse with a kissing spine and dealing with Pura and trying to figure her out and trying to rehabilitate her, like getting her into a healthy horse, really, because I'm too stubborn to give up. That's the other side. The stubbornness also is a downside. Again, I will share that in another episode. But I'm a really stubborn person. If I set my mind to doing something, I'm going to do it. The downside of that is that I can hit my head against the wall quite a few times during that process. And patience really was one of these things that I really needed to learn. Like, I'm going to invest now in tiny little pieces. I'm going to be happy with very, very, very little bits, tiny bits of improvement. But if I have a tiny bit of improvement every day, I will have big results by the end of the year. And this is a concept. I was 22, 23 when I started my journey with Pura. So I was really young, very impatient, very ambitious. And, you know, my ego really got into my way. Because I just thought I'm going to do this very easily and simply, and in a year from now she's going to be fine, or maybe in 6 months, but I want to have results now for the work that I'm doing. And I just got setbacks. Like, the more I tried to force her to be better, the worse she became. How unexpected. So, for me, that life lesson, to put in effort and seeing the results over a longer period of time, really wasn't intense, but a very good lesson for me to learn. Another thing that I feel has been very contributing for me as a Christian is understanding the psychological impact of physical trauma, but also traumatic training on a horse. Because often cases of kissing spine come from bad training and the horse being ignored for the discomfort that they're having. So when you're starting to rehabilitate a horse from a kissing spine, you're not only learning about how the body works, it's also how to deal with trauma, how to recognize signals of discomfort. Like, when is my horse saying it's getting sore? Or when is my horse saying that I'm asking something that they cannot give? Or how is my horse saying that they're afraid to do a certain movement because they think that their body cannot handle it? This has been an incredible life lesson, because it's so much easier now to recognize, even with my healthy horses, when I'm crossing or getting near to a boundary, when I'm starting to ask things that my horse cannot really offer, both physically or mentally. Having that knowledge in my pocket now makes me a bigger trainer than I could ever imagine to be. And it really, the connection between understanding what's going on physically and understanding what's going on mentally really makes the full package for me. That makes training a horse a whole lot more fun, because it's more cooperation instead of me forcing my wish or need upon my horse. So it really taught me how to communicate with my horse in a healthy way, and how to, make training a conversation instead of just bam, 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 doing certain exercises and then back to the yard and that's it. So I think these are the main lessons that I've learned throughout the process of rehabbing a horse with a kissing spine, and of course after that rehabbing other horses with a kissing spine and coaching people who have horses with a kissing spine. These are the headlines I think that you can consider a gift and a blessing and an opening to learn new things if you're willing to see it that way. So out of all these experiences, especially because, there are horse owners all over the world who are dealing with a kissing spine horse, I decided that I wanted to put the things I've learned into something that people can learn from. So I made a video course called Rehab to Ride to help people understand better what the body is doing, what's going on, what your medical options are, what your therapeutic options are, training options are, how important is saddle fit, rider seat, what kind of exercises are beneficial, what are not, how to lunge, how, really giving you all the tips and tricks and tools that I use in order to rehab a horse from a kissing spine. And to make that knowledge also more accessible in another way, that's why I created this podcast. So I'm 10 years down the line working with horses that have a kissing spine, working with horse owners that have a kissing spine, and how weirdly as it sounds, for me, I really grew a passion for this work of kissing spine rehabilitation. It constantly triggers me to think deeper, to do more research, to do, search for more ways to help people get better with their horses and help people understanding their horses better and what they need and what they're asking for. So while for many people the whole diagnosis can feel like their world collapsing because they cannot do what they want with their horses anymore, at least not do the things that I had in mind, maybe your horse came into your life because you have other stuff to learn and other stuff to develop, and then you can really see this process as something very interesting and a big opening to learn new skills, and all for the better, because with your current horse that has a kissing spine, but also with your future horses, you're just going to do things differently, more sustainably, more aware of both their physical and their mental limitations, and having such big respect for the creature that you're working with is, again, for me, it just feels like the biggest gift that was granted to me. Also, being able to recognize when a horse has crossed or has its limits, but also being able to get them to the next phase, giving them back their trust in their bodies, giving them, joy in the work back. Like seeing a horse relax, feeling a horse relax for the first time, really letting go of their fears is an exceptional and breathtaking experience. I cannot even explain it in any other way than that. It's just, it feels so as such a relief, as such open and kind and soft and loving. All right, so you can hear I'm really passionate about rehabbing horses and helping horses becoming more fit, and my main goal is to help people maybe like you, because you have a horse with a kissing spine that you ended up in this podcast, to help your horse become healthier, fitter, stronger, but also more relaxed, more soft, more connected. Working with these horses, working with any horse forces you to be right here in the now, but working with a kissing spine horse that has possibly some mental and physical trauma, that is really next level, being in a now and being in a here and now. And you really need to look at how your horse is responding to your aids and see what you can do to acknowledge the effort that your horse is putting in, but also push them more towards better and loosener and more, to really help them use their body in a healthy way and become more athletic and more supple and really get their bodies going. pain-free. So this is me. This is my passion. I hope that you listened, enjoyed listening to my passion for what I'm doing here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out through the website www.sdjhorsetraining.nl. You can also find more information there about Rehab to Ride. I have a couple of free courses there that explain more about the mechanics of the hind leg and how that body works mechanically if you're interested in that stuff. My name is Sabine, and I hope that you enjoy listening to this podcast, and hopefully you're here the next time. I would like to thank you again for listening to this podcast. If you think that this podcast is interesting to someone else, please share it on social media so others can find it too. This way we can create more awareness about what the options are with a kissing spine horse.